The dog was blocking the basement door. He had been doing it for 3 days. Everyone thought he'd developed a strange new habit. He hadn't. He was keeping them alive. Atlas had never shown any interest in the door to the basement. In 4 years of living in that house, he had walked past it the way he walked past every other architectural feature, without opinion, without ceremony, without a single moment of hesitation. He was a Bullmastiff, 130 pounds of deliberate patience. Terrier, the kind of dog that made house guests stop in the hallway and say "oh," and then stand very still until they decided he was friendly, which he always was. He was not the kind of dog that developed inexplicable behavioral quirks without reason. So, when Josephine Marsh came downstairs on a Monday morning and found Atlas sitting directly in front of the basement door, she noticed it. She said his name. He looked at her. He did not move. She told herself he was being odd. She stepped past him, opened the door, and went downstairs to put laundry in the dryer. Atlas came to the top of the stairs and sat there looking down at her the entire time. When she came back up, Terry moved to let her through and immediately repositioned himself in front of the door before it had fully shut. Her husband, Darren, watched it happen and said it was probably the smell of the laundry detergent or a sound the furnace was making. Dogs, sometimes fixated on sounds and smells that humans couldn't detect. He was probably just picking something up. Josephine agreed. She had worked as a middle school science teacher for 12 years. She was not given to dramatic interpretations. The rational explanation that the dog had detected something in the mechanical room was far more likely than any other reading of the situation. She was right about that part. She was wrong about what he detected. By Tuesday evening, Atlas had not left the doorway voluntarily once. He ate his food when they brought it to him, but moved back immediately afterward. He slept in front of the door. Josephine's 14-month-old daughter, Winnie, who had recently discovered that she could walk to things she wanted, walked to Atlas and tried to climb on him, as she often did. Atlas stood up, which he never did when Winnie approached him. He moved 2 steps to the right and sat back down in front of the door. He had never redirected Winnie from anything before. Not once. That was the thing that bothered Josephine enough to call her neighbor Sandra. 2 dogs and strong opinions about dog behavior. Sandra came over and watched Atlas for 40 minutes and said she didn't know what it was, but that she'd never seen a dog stay in one place like that without a clear reason. Whatever he's locked onto, it's in that room, Sandra said. That was not useful information. Josephine already knew it was in that room. On Wednesday morning, Darren went into the basement to check the furnace. Atlas was on his feet at the top of the stairs before Darren reached the bottom. When Darren came back up, Atlas pressed his nose to Darren's left arm and held it there for 3 full seconds. Something was different about how that dog was reading him. Darren couldn't explain it, but he texted Josephine at work. "I think we should call someone about the furnace." The HVAC technician who came Thursday morning was a man named Curtis Wharton, 22 years servicing residential heating systems in the Mid-Atlantic region. He went into the basement for 11 minutes, came upstairs looking different from when he went down. He told them to open every window in the house. He told them to step outside. He called the gas company from the driveway. The furnace heat exchanger had a hairline fracture. the kind that develops slowly in older systems, invisible to any casual inspection, that allows combustion gases to enter the living space in concentrations that build over days. Their carbon monoxide detector was on the second-floor hallway. It had never triggered. The readings in the basement air near the fractured exchanger were at a level that, in a sealed space overnight, would have produced symptoms within hours. Headache first, disorientation, then the kind of sleep you don't wake up from on your own. T. Winnie's room was directly above the furnace. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Tarium representative who assessed the scene was a woman named Patricia Adel. She walked Josephine through the readings in each room. She showed her the numbers. She told her that the concentration at floor level, the level where a crawling or toddling child spent most of their time, was meaningfully higher than at the height of the wall-mounted detector. She said, "Your detector wasn't wrong. It just wasn't measuring where the problem was." Then she said, "Another 48 hours of this pattern, and I would not be having this conversation with you in the present tense." Has your dog ever done something that made no sense until it was the only thing that made sense? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The furnace was replaced that weekend. New carbon monoxide detectors were installed at floor level throughout the house, including one in the basement and one in Winnie's room. The technician who did the installation asked what had finally prompted them to call. Josephine said the dog wouldn't leave a doorway for 3 days. The man looked at Atlas, who was sitting near the front door watching the installation process. He said, "Smart dog." Atlas came back inside after the installation was complete, walked to the basement door, sniffed the threshold once, and walked away. He did not position himself in front of it again. He walked to the living room, lay down on his spot near the couch, and fell asleep. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Josephine sat across the room from him and thought about the 3 days, about passing him on her way to do laundry, about Darren's explanation about sounds from the furnace, about Sandra standing in the hallway saying, "Whatever he's locked onto, it's in that room," about Winnie climbing on him and Atlas standing up. Atlas, who never moved when Winnie approached, repositioning himself in front of the door. He was not blocking the door because something was interesting in there. The next story involves a husky who woke a family from sleep. What the camera on the back porch had been recording for 6 hours without anyone checking it. He was blocking the door because something was wrong. And Winnie was 14 months old and could walk to things she wanted. And what she wanted that week was to go down the stairs after him. Atlas slept. Winnie slept in her room with the new detector on the wall and the new detector on the floor. Josephine stayed up later than she meant to, reading about heat exchanger fractures, about carbon monoxide at floor level, out the documented cases where the alarm didn't trigger in time. She closed the laptop eventually. She sat in the dark. She listened to the house breathe.